Why? Why? That should be the question when you're entering a trade, my friends. If you're going to be entering a trade, a day trade, you should be asking yourself, why am I going to short or why am I going to buy long? Answer that question before you enter the trade, and maybe it'll help you become a better day trader. Talking about this right here in this video. We're going to talk about the why right here in this video, so make sure you guys stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Patrick here, back today to talk about the why. You know, I ask myself this all the time. Like, I'm always trying to create a system that basically is stopping me from entering trades, bad trades. Like, I don't want to be entering bad trades. Like, I never want to enter a bad trade. And most of the time when we enter bad trades, when you enter a bad trade, when I enter a bad trade, it has nothing to do with technicals. It has nothing to do with charting. It has nothing to do with your skill, right? It has nothing to do with any of that. What it really has to do with is the emotion, right? Like your emotion, your FOMO, or maybe you're just like revenge trading. The emotion is why you end up entering bad trades. But if you ask yourself questions, you ask yourself, why? Why am I going to enter this trade, Patrick? You think I should buy it? Why? Why should I buy it? Ask yourselves these questions. So, like, today is a great example. Looking here at the chart, pulling up the chart, you can see, you know, we've already got kind of, obviously the day is over. We have already seen what happens. We know what's going to happen. But we were live on YouTube this morning, basically breaking down this whole entire trade and breaking down the why, right? Like, I'm telling myself, okay, why do I believe this is going to go lower? Why do I believe that I should buy? Why should I sell? I'm asking, like, you know, the why. What is the why? Deep down, Patrick, I need to know the why. Answer those questions, you know, and then I'm going to enter the trade. So this morning, it was very simple. We had this big push up at open. Overall, I knew, number one, that we're going into a 3-day weekend, and there's just a lot of stuff going on in the world. I was really on the bearish side this morning. I did not believe that the market would just rally to all-time highs or rally to 450 going into a 3-day weekend. I really believed that there would be downside to come here. So I asked myself, again, you know, I answer those questions, the why. Like, why would I be bearish? Number one, it's a 3-day weekend. Number two, we had this huge, like, pump right at open. Look at this thing. Like, it just looked so artificial. Like, it just was not real. You had a huge pump in volume there. You had a huge pump up. If you haven't already, ask yourself, why have you not subscribed to this channel? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be going live right here on YouTube the next few weeks. We're going to try it out trading. It's going to be early, 3:30 in the morning here in Hawaii, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, if you haven't already checked out Interactive Brokers, there's a link down below. I'm going to put out a video really soon to learn more about their platform, what I'm using for trading options and all that fun stuff. So let's get back into the action. The why, baby, the why. And especially like up into this resistance, like we know that there's a resistance in this level. We can see back here, the 445 level resistance. We see all of this resistance above. So I'm answering the why. I'm telling myself, why would I get long here? I'm not going to get long because, number one, there's resistance. We're getting this kind of like fake pump. We sold off and then we pumped right into open. So the why for me to get long is not looking good. Like, it is not a good thesis for me to get long. Where, you know, if I was emotional and I'm like looking at this like, oh my gosh, the market is just going higher. Like, I'm going to FOMO. I'm going to jump into this trade. And I know you guys have done this. I know that you have done this, right? Where you just get like the FOMO and you're like, I got to buy. I don't care what happens. I'm going to buy it. I got to get in. And you get that FOMO. But you're not answering the questions. Like, you're not asking yourself, why? Like, why would I get in here? And I think it also, like, it calms yourself too, right? Because if you have like a discussion with yourself and you're asking yourself the why, it kind of like, okay, wait, you know, you're right, Patrick. Like, you know, maybe we shouldn't FOMO into this because all the things I just listed. You know, we had this big pump, and then I'm like, hey, not about it. So during the live stream this morning, this is not like in hindsight. You guys can go watch the live stream. I talked about this like in the moment while it was happening. I told everyone, I'm like, hey, this pump is not looking good. We got this resistance up here. Either way, I was looking at this like, okay, we start out in the morning, we pump up. I think no matter what, we're still going to get a pullback. Now, I didn't know for sure if the market was going to go lower, you know, the rest of the day, but I just thought like we're going to get a pullback, especially after green. Big push up. We went from what, 442 up to 440.50, almost 445, you know, in a matter of minutes, basically, right out of the open. And I'm like, nah, we're getting a pullback. So the why, you know, I've answered those whys. So we get the pullback. We pulled all the way down here. The next question for me is, why do I cover? Why do I end up selling my puts? And, well, I ask myself that. Why would I cover? Like, why should I take profit? If I look at this, we can see, as this is crashing down, like it's here at 443, do I expect a reversal at this level here? Like, why would it reverse off of 443? Like, why? After this sell-off here, this sell-off, why would it start to bounce here? Other than, the EMAs, it broke through the VWAP at looking very bearish. Like, there's really no reason for this to bounce at this level. Obviously, things happen. It sometimes happens. But as a trader, we're looking for kind of the odds. Like, we're looking for different setups, different patterns, different reasons to enter a trade based on what we've seen in the past. So the why for me, like, when am I going to cover, is basically I'm looking for support areas. I'm thinking, okay, there's obviously some 442 support here. We kind of bounced there at pre-market. So my target from this trade, from the 444 level, buying 442 puts, should be down here at 442. So during the live stream, I talked about this. I'm like, hey, this thing's going lower and lower. We're breaking through the VWAP. Everything is looking bearish. The VIX is going up. There's nothing bullish. So there is no reason for me to cover at this point. So what did I do? I ended up holding all the way down here. I took some profit, obviously, at this level, 442. I'm going to take some profit. But I ended up holding some of those put options because, again, I asked myself, well, should I cover all of them? No, probably shouldn't. Why would I cover all of them right here when, again, guess what? We're below the VWAP, right? Like, we cracked right below it. So in the live stream, I talked about this again. I keep talking about the live stream because I want you guys to see, like, this is not just me in hindsight. This is me just giving you the reasons to why I'm doing what I'm doing. So we see the VWAP is there at that 443 area at that point. So I'm thinking, well, if this bounces, why would it bounce? Well, we identified support 442. So we're thinking, okay, it's going to bounce. But also, maybe why would it turn down next? Guess what? The VWAP's right there at that 443. So again, during the live stream, I talked about we're probably going to push to that VWAP, and then we're going to go down again. And that's exactly what happened. Again, if I'm shorting, let's say I want to get short on the SPY, I'm going to buy puts or whatever I'm doing, whatever way you're shorting it. Let's say you're like, okay, I'm obviously not going to do it here at this level. Like, I'm not going to short it here because we know that there was a little bit of a bounce. There's a little bit of support there. There's just no really reason for me to do it, especially yesterday bouncing off that 442 level. I don't need to short it right there. But if I'm going to get short and we get denied at the VWAP, I'm going to get short there because, number one, we're below the VWAP. We're trending lower. We're, just looking really bearish here. So the why would I short it at this level? We're below the VWAP. We got denied. This is the 3-minute chart. You can see, we push up, boom, we're right back down. So at that point, I can get short because why? We've got all those things pointing against it, all those reasons. Now, what's interesting is we pulled all the way down here to 441. At this point, I'm like, well, what should I do here? Why should I cover? What, should I buy long? Like, what should I do? Like, why? If I look here at the chart from yesterday, 441 was support. It bounced off this 441 area. So why would it bounce there again today? Well, there'll be a pretty good chance that it's going to bounce off of where it bounced off yesterday, overall to support areas. So it ends up pulling back 441. And then guess what? I now ask myself, after covering some more puts, I'm like, okay, should I cover all my puts or should I hold on? Like, why would I cover at this level? Other than the fact that we bounced there yesterday, there was really like no reason for me to believe that we would just turn from 441 and go back up. I'm thinking, and I talked about this during the live stream. This is, again, I was talking about this in the moment. There's really no reason for us to bounce off of 441 other than yesterday's little bit of support bounce there. Now, obviously, we had a big sell-off. I talked about this being oversold during the live stream as well. So, again, I was expecting, some sideways action. We grind back up to the VWAP, and then we go lower again. Why? Because, again, we're below the VWAP. We broke below. We're staying below it. We're staying below it. We're staying below it once again. So, look what happens. We then move down here to 440.50. Now, why would we bounce off of this level here, the 440.50? Well, we kind of bounced off this level here, 440.50, and that's kind of like right where that support was from yesterday. So again, the why is that there's a chance we're going to bounce, but as long as we stay below the VWAP, I'm thinking we're going to break below 440.50, and we're getting down to the 439 level pretty quickly. And if you see here, why did I think the 439 level? Again, you look at yesterday, where do we kind of have this area of consolidation? We pushed up above this area, so pretty much like 439, area was an area to expect a bounce. So the why, right? Okay, at this point, I talked about it again, like during a live stream, like my 439 was kind of my first target there, and then 437 was my other target. So again, we're looking, I would say we're looking pretty oversold at this point, just from the fact that we went, from 442 to 439. We had a pretty big move to the downside. We really haven't had much of a push back up. And remember, the market does not just go straight down. It does not just go straight up. So why would it bounce here at this level? Again, I just listed all those reasons. So now I'm like, well, my thesis is that we're still going to go lower today. So I'm going to wait like for my next entry. What's my next entry going to be here? If I think it's going to push up, and it's going to push up to, a level that we kind of saw before, well, guess what? We had resistance in this level. We have the VWAP. We have all these things against me. So let's say I'm like, at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to short. But why do I want to short at these levels? Number one, we're below the VWAP. Number two, we're at a previous area of support that's now turning into resistance. And then guess what? The overall trend is still pointing down. If we go to the 15-minute chart, you can see the same idea. Little oversold, thinking we're going to push back up. Guess what? We push back up. We touch the VWAP. We get stuck. You really have to focus on candles closing, right? Like I don't want to just buy, but you can see it was a fake out. It was a total trap, right? People thought, okay, we're breaking back above the VWAP. We're going to jump in. We're going to get long because it's going to now push to 445. But the problem is you need to really wait for those candles to close. That way you have a better idea like what's actually going on. If you're just buying like in the middle of a candle, a 15-minute candle, and it's kind of bouncing around being really volatile, you don't know for sure if it's going to get stuck there or if it's going to go higher or lower. And obviously you never know for sure with the trade. But again, the why. Like why would I short without that candle closing? Just because this candle is pushing up or maybe I'm getting long, vice versa, I need to focus on where that candle is closing at. And guess what? This candle ended up having like kind of that wick there, closing below the VWAP. The next candle, a little bit of a push up. But again, it then sells off, it gets stuck at the VWAP and goes all the way down here to 437. So, throughout this whole entire day, I'm answering my questions, like, okay, why would I short? Where would I short? If I was a bear, if I was a bull, what are the things I'm looking at? And I'm just asking myself questions. The why. Why am I entering a trade? It's a really simple idea. When you're entering a trade, you just ask yourself a very simple question. Why? Why am I entering? Do I have an actual reason to enter, or do I just have FOMO? Do I actually have an advantage to enter at this level? Do I think, is there a reason for me to enter? Why? Why? If you ask yourself why, you're going to avoid a lot of those bad trades. Like I said earlier, a lot of the bad trades that we make, some of the worst trades that we make as traders are not because we're bad traders. It's not because you don't know to buy low, sell high. It's not because you don't understand how trading works. It's the emotion, right? The FOMO. Like how many times have you bought a stock, it went up, you sold for a nice profit, but then it keeps going higher and you buy it again, you get FOMO, and then literally the moment that you buy it, it starts crashing back down, and then you go from being green to red. Like how many times has that happened to you? I know it's happened to me, especially one thing that I love to do. Like not that I love to do it, but it's something that I do sometimes emotionally, is I will end up selling, like I'll buy 3 contracts, 3 options, and then all of a sudden it goes up, I take profit, but then it goes higher and higher. So then I'm like, okay, screw it, I'm going to buy more. So then I end up buying more, like maybe I end up buying 6 contracts, and then all of a sudden it starts crashing, and I'm like, well, it's going to go higher. So then I end up buying more, and then I'm averaging down, and I'm basically just doing everything the wrong way, and I end up losing money on a trade that I just made money. Like I literally just made money on that same exact stock 2 minutes ago, but now I chased it, and now I have FOMO, and now I have all this emotion, and now I'm not cutting off the loser, and I'm basically giving back all the profit, and then I'm losing more. I know you guys have done that. I know I have done that. If you're not admitting that you've done that, then you just haven't been trading long enough, because I know that every single trader has gone through that. And again, It's the why. You know, like, why am I entering the trade? Why am I selling? Why am I buying? Why? Why is the market going down? Why is the market going up? It's just the why, my friends. And I think if you just keep asking yourself these questions, you're going to become a better and better trader. And obviously, that's what I'm working on right now. Like, every day, just trying to be a little bit better every single day. Today, I felt really good. I felt like I was in the zone. I felt like everything was like really just simple and easy. Like, to be like, hey, look, I know exactly what's going to happen. Not that we know exactly, but we kind of get into a pattern where we're like, okay, like, I think the big thing here is to focus on just being on the right side of the trend. Like, how many times have you tried to fight the trend and you end up just getting, just chopped up over and over and over because maybe you're trying to buy the dip, maybe you're trying to short the top, and you're fighting this trend, and it just makes it so difficult, and then you become emotional, and then you get FOMO, and then you end up losing money instead of just following the trend, trading with the trend, and being one with the market, riding the waves, my friends. So there it is. If you haven't already, do me one big favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll talk to you guys later on.
Yeah.